Lin, are you really going to reconsider? The old professor's nagging voice came from the phone. A genius like you who studies basic subjects should have a top-notch research environment. Although our university's biological laboratory is not as good as Harvard's, it is also world-class. How can you do research by yourself in a small shop? Thank you for your concern, Professor Wilson, but I still insist that science comes from practice. I am very interested in the 1000-plant transcriptome project 1KP that will begin in November, so I decided to collect samples myself. A gentle voice responded to the old professor's advice with a little apology. Oakes turned on the speakerphone, put the phone on the table, turned around and took a black hooded sweatshirt from the hanger and put it on. Just as he touched the key in his pocket, he heard Professor Wilson's voice again after a few seconds of silence. I don't know if it was because of the speakerphone, but the old professor's voice sounded a little helpless. Okay, Lin, this is the 6th invitation you have rejected during this period of time. But if you want to participate in this world-class action plan, I will help you explain to the other professors. Ah, thank you. Oakes touched his chin again, grinned, and picked up the electric shaver next to the phone. Professor Wilson, you also know the significance of this world-class action to botanical research. This is a global collaboration aimed at studying the diversity of genes and genomes of plant species from green algae to flowering plants over 1 billion years. Although I have a degree in biology, I actually studied botany a little more deeply than zoology. Both the sound of the electric shaver sounded, and Professor Wilson's bitter laugh came from the phone. Oh, that's true. But you are a genius who single-handedly raised our biology department's ranking to the top 3 in the country. I think you are more suitable to participate in the gene sequencing and data research after collecting samples. I can now imagine the faces of those guys from Harvard and MIT laughing at us. Well, I still hope to go to the rainforest to collect samples myself. I have lived in this steel and concrete metropolis for too long, and I am almost out of touch with nature. Touching his smooth chin, Oakes threw down the razor with satisfaction and picked up the phone. And Professor Wilson, a large part of my biological research is to improve people's living environment. The research directions of you and several other professors are somewhat different from mine. Aha, Lin, I have to say that your goal is great. But I still have reservations about an academic elite like you running a small green plant shop. Oakes smiled apologetically. Professor Wilson, this is a social experiment. It won't be long before you will understand it clearly. As for other professors, please apologize on my behalf. That's all. Bye beep. After hanging up the phone, Oakes breathed a sigh of relief, put the phone in his jeans pocket, tidied his red hair, went downstairs in a good mood, locked the shop door, and turned to walk towards the back door. Oakes Lin, a PhD in biology, graduated from Cornell University in New York and is a little famous in the academic world. Although he lives in New York, Oakes is actually of Central European descent, half Irish. So, although his facial features are very similar to his father's Chinese ancestry, he still has one of the most prominent Celtic characteristics from his mother's red hair. His residence is located in the Emerald Dream Green Plant Shop in the 20th block of Brooklyn, New York. It is a 2-story standalone store, which is the greatest legacy left to him by his parents. When Oakes was 14 years old, at the end of 1999, the couple encountered a car accident when they were returning from a business trip, and they did not even have time to leave a will. When he got the news, he was waiting for his parents to come back to celebrate Christmas with joy, but he fainted due to the great shock and became what he is now when he woke up. A special soul took over his life. So, although Oakes, now 23 years old, has a car, he tries not to drive it unless he is delivering goods. As for taking the subway, please, is the subway in New York called a subway? Hell! If it's my birthday, I'll close the store for a day. But life lies in exercise. After locking the back door, Oaks looked up at the half-closed air vent, and then glanced at the electronic watch on his wrist. September 22, 2008, 10 a.m. Nodding, Oaks stretched his body, squatted slightly, and then jumped up. Swoosh! A faint light flashed, and Oaks' slender figure of nearly 1.9 meters disappeared, replaced by a fat orange cat with a big face and a plate, which went through the air vent and disappeared in an instant. That's right. This is what makes Oaks special. In his previous life, he was called Lin Xingya. Born in an industrial city, he had an infinite yearning for nature since he was a child. Even when playing games, he chose a career with a natural background. So after graduating from university, he, who majored in environmental protection, chose to become a forest ranger in a national forest nature reserve. On his 30th birthday, Lin Xingya died heroically while investigating a poaching group, trying to stop the poachers from starting a forest fire. When he woke up again, he received a gift from nature. Although the place of reincarnation is not very good, New York is one of the cities with the worst environmental quality in the world, not to mention the terrifying gap between the rich and the poor and the mixed brilliance and chaos. But the power of nature not only strengthened his body and spirit, but also endowed him with unique spells and inheritance, a unique foretalent profession, the Bear Tree Meowscan Charlatan, the nature messenger of Azeroth Druid. Although he had a very deep understanding of this profession known as a panacea, Oaks was not happy for too long after he gained the ability. Because, just when he hadn't fully integrated the memory of his previous life, a highly anticipated World Conference was broadcast on TV. It was the 1999-2000 Bern New Year's Eve Technology Conference in Switzerland. It was a cross-century academic event for the world's top scientists. And the most dazzling star among them was Chairman and CEO of Stark Industries, genius scientist, wealthy philanthropist, famous playboy, Tony Stark. And that night, there seemed to be gossip about him and another female scientist. Well, this is something the public likes to hear. But Oaks was in trouble at that time. After carefully sorting out the memories of his predecessor, he had to suppress his originally somewhat excited mentality. In this world, there is Stark Industries and Tony Stark. Stark Industries has factories in Long Island and Queens, New York. Moreover, there is a Captain America memorial in Brooklyn where he lives. Well, Captain America, the Howling Commandos, and MS, Peggy Carter's World War are memoirs. Doesn't that make the point? Although this ability is quite interesting, this is not a primitive society. In an era where the Earth's ecosystem has been destroyed to this extent, natural spellcasters are simply inherently weakened. I must have a cover identity. From that time on, Oaks set an action. Well, a survival program. In this world where superheroes seem to be common, how can you hide your special abilities while continuing to improve? This starts with the origins of superheroes. Top combat units are basically divided into three categories: technology, mutation, and magic. Technology is the primary productive force, and among the factors that cause mutation, technology inducements account for more than half. In the case of the Marvel world, mysticism represented by magic is basically equivalent to supermodel technology that has not yet been cracked. Therefore, to hide the identity of a mysterious spellcaster, a scientist's cover identity is the best. At the very least, if something big happens, it can avoid the attention of some troublesome guys to a large extent. Isn't it a basic operation for scientists in the Marvel world to make some big moves? Take the more representative Bruce Banner, for example. When he created a big guy like the Hulk, do you think it was Kamartaj that came to find him, or Asgard that came to find him? Well, as for why he had to hide, haven't you heard that reaching the maximum level is just the beginning? This world is so complicated. If you don't develop in a low-key manner, do you want a supreme wizard to directly clear you out of the timeline? In short, after 6 years of low-key development and obtaining a doctorate in biology, Oaks finally had a certain degree of confidence and sought a chance to survive to the end in this seemingly dangerous world. However, he declined the invitation to stay in school soon and left the school. The doctorate was just to cover up his identity, and he didn't plan to spend too much time on it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen Cornell, which is closest to home. During these 6 years, Oakes's control of natural forces and his studies went hand in hand and complemented each other. Indeed, to some extent, magic and science have something in common. The orange cat foam is the ground travel foam chosen by Oakes. It can basically reach most places in the city without being conspicuous. It also has a running speed bonus. The orange cat runs and jumps skillfully in the streets and alleys. The place Oakes wants to go is a social experiment that he spent all his money on after graduating from his doctorate. He rented a large abandoned factory in the slums with the lowest housing prices in Brooklyn and transformed it into an ecological test site. Little Rainforest. This is not an ordinary ecological park. Inside the towering walls are special magical plants developed by Oakes. As for why it is a social experiment, line up. Line up for me. Take your share and leave quickly. At the gate of Little Rainforest, a fierce-looking Latino man waved a baseball bat in his right hand and directed several black people to maintain order. Whoever dares to cut in line and loot, your body will be hung on the wire mesh of the basketball court the next day. I promise. His left calf was gone, so he needed to use a single crutch with his left hand, but the poor people present respected him very much. This is the poorest area in Brooklyn, where African Americans and Latinos make up the majority of the population. It is dirty, run down, and filled with violence and crime, and is completely different from the western and southern areas a few blocks away. Not to mention the prosperous Manhattan. In Little Rainforest, the poor can actually line up in a line under the supervision of a few people maintaining order, and receive things in front of a stall run by a group of black and Latino strongmen. When they were waiting in line, their faces were filled with urgency and desire, and when they received the food, their faces were filled with joy. This was because this was high-quality fresh fruit comparable to the quality of the most luxurious fruit shops in Manhattan, and most of them who lived on social welfare would not be able to enjoy it under normal circumstances. It was delicious, nutritious, and free. This was said to be a benefit distributed by a mysterious big man to the most difficult group of the poor. Although it is not much, it is already very precious to them. This welfare is only for the elderly, the young, the sick and the disabled who cannot survive on their own, and there is a strict screening mechanism. If someone wants to get away with it, the elderly and the young can't do anything, but this group of strong men will make them truly sick and disabled. If there is something more extreme, there will be no corpses on the wire mesh of the basketball court, but the plants in the rainforest will grow more vigorously. Here, it is normal for several people who may not even have a registered permanent residence to go missing. A pair of green cat eyes stared coldly at the crowd in front of the rainforest. Humph! Very smart. The cameras in the surrounding blocks are installed and smashed one by one, and the police are too lazy to care. Oakes walked with a cat-like step, lightly entered the wall through a small gap, and carefully inspected his test site. The main purpose of this mysterious social experiment is to study the effects of magical plants on ordinary people. From environmental impact to the effects of eating fruits, and the self-defense capabilities of the test site. Oakes is not an anti-human element. The reason why he conducts this experiment here is purely because, not long after he traveled through time, Oakes came here once and was kidnapped by several vicious poor people. Not only did they want to sell the handsome Oakes, but they also wanted to cough before that. Anyway, Oakes didn't hold back that time, and the anger of 2 lifetimes turned into primitive wildness. all vented on that day. After that, the nearby police station was nervous for a while, looking for large beasts everywhere. Oak's perspective on these poor people also changed from calm to indifferent. Since he had made a bad start, he simply let it go. He did not want to retaliate against all the people in the slums. He had only picked a few drug-addicted criminals, starved them for a few days, and threw them in for experiments. However, he did not expect that with just a little guidance, the strange phenomenon of the small rainforest was miraculously maintained. The criminal he threw in first was the Latino strongman, who was maintaining order now, and the people who maintained order were the later batches. They believed that this was a gift from God or a gift from Mother Earth. In short, unless it was necessary, Oakes would not have any contact with them for the time being. With his methods, these people would not be able to find out any relationship between this place and him. After the inspection, Oakes was quite satisfied with the new data he collected. But when he was about to leave, a commotion outside caught his attention. It was normal for a place like this to be a little messy, but this time, amidst the screams and the heavily accented English begging for mercy, there were also a few rather tough words. "Humph, you can watch the excitement at home, but you can't watch what's happening abroad. It's fine if you're not allowed to watch, but touching me is really disrespectful. Ah, my cell phone. Never mind, it's a domestic version, and there's no signal here. I was going to change it anyway, so I'll just consider it as buying a coffin for you. I've felt short of breath after waking up these past few days, but my body is still as healthy as before. After thinking about it, it's because of the air. Today, I saw you in the air, so it's understandable that it's dirty. Ah! Don't hit my face." A cold sweat broke out on Oak's round head. Yes, these words with strong personal characteristics were said in Chinese. After jumping over the fence, Oak saw a Chinese youth wearing black-framed glasses being carried by two black men and thrown into the street. The young man just groaned when a Nokia flew out and hit him right on the nose. With a hoe, the young man fell to the ground in tears, struggling to shout out in English the advice he had seen most often on forums before going abroad: don't call an ambulance. He wiped his head with his front paws, and Oakes understood this Chinese young man had just arrived and happened to see the poor people gathered in the rainforest. He thought there was something exciting to watch, but he was controlled as soon as he got close to them. The Latino man who was in charge of maintaining order looked at his phone and found that it was full of unfamiliar Chinese characters. He knew that this young man was probably the foreign student he had seen recently, so he had him thrown out. Now he was lying straight on the side of the road. The poor looked at him like a fool for a while, then went back, spitting foul language. This guy is really brave. He doesn't want an ambulance. It seems that he did his homework before going abroad, but he doesn't know about the slums in Brooklyn. As a foreign student, he shouldn't come here easily even in the daytime. The young man with glasses burst into tears. He was dizzy for a while and finally woke up. He walked to a wall with his head down and squatted down. He fumbled in his pockets and shook out his student ID, meal card, etc. Finally, he took out a pack of tissues to wipe his face and glasses. Columbia University, Department of Environmental Sciences, Zhang Shuren. Oakes could see the words on the student ID card clearly from a distance. He pouted his cat mouth and quietly jumped off the fence, ready to enjoy his birthday lunch. But he suddenly shuddered. What is that? His animal instinct told him that something unusual was staring at him. Human? No, it's a beast. And not just any beast. Oakes crouched on his hind legs, bent his body backwards, and his orange fur puffed up slightly. This was an instinctive reaction in the form of an orange cat. Over there. He turned sharply in the direction of the Chinese youth, who was still wiping his glasses. Could it be that this guy was hiding something? No, it's not him. Looking up, the next moment, an orange figure appeared on the wall above the Chinese youth Zhang Shuren's head. Oaks looked at him speechlessly and yawned loudly. The orange cat with a pair of cute big eyes stared at him, and the corners of his mouth twitched wildly. Has he been single for too long? He looks pretty when he sees female cats. This big orange cat, with 2 ears standing up energetically, a soft face and a well-proportioned body, is not like 9 out of 10 orange cats, and certainly not the 10th. It should be a domestic cat, with a leash, collar and name tag. Well, Goose. Oaks nodded slightly. With a name, it must be a domestic cat. Goo, a cute name. Goo, an orange cat. I'm being targeted. Should I run? Can I run away? Waiting online, very anxious. All 4 paws of Oaks were wet with sweat. This cat is one of the dangerous targets that can be counted on one hand on the earth. How come I ran into him? Why don't you go find Lu Dan to play with? Are you coveting my body? Oaks retreated slightly, while Goo leaned forward. Oaks slowly took a half step back, and Goo stared at him intently with his big eyes, with his hind legs slightly bent, ready to jump. Aha! Big orange. Oaks' heartbeat slowed down for a moment, and he almost fell down. The next moment, a pair of gaunt hands appeared beside Goo and grabbed the confused Goo and hugged him down. Ha ha ha! So cute, oh little baby. Are you lost? Are you alone now? I am alone too. Chinese youth Zhang Shuren hugged the confused Goo and stroked him, sighing with satisfaction. Alas, it's probably because I'm getting old. When I was traveling alone in a hurry, I didn't feel anything. But when I was under the wall of this foreign country, alone, with only a shadow, I finally felt some loneliness. Oaks couldn't help but curse. You idiot, aren't you from the Department of Environmental Science? Are you sure your last name is Long and not So? You are holding a cruel fate in your hands, kid. Goo has woken up from his daze. A black guy once stroked it like this. Meow. Oaks covered his face with his cat claws. Ah! The young man Zhang Shuren fell to the ground with a scream. Goo still showed mercy. He only had 3 more claw marks on his face. However, young man, the scars caused by the yuan-devouring beast cannot heal naturally. Oaks sighed and was about to take the opportunity to evacuate, but he heard a trembling voice and his feet softened and he didn't leave. Big orange, I am so abrupt. It's like this. When you are in love, you will unconsciously say some gentle words that you can't even think of. This idiot. Oaks was about to get up when a small shadow covered him. Are you a cat? Just as he was about to risk turning into a leopard and sneaking away from the scene, Oaks heard a curious voice asking him a question. Oaks slowly turned his head and stared at Goo, who was looking at him curiously. For a while before he suddenly realized, oh shit. I can communicate with animals. Druids with wild hearts can communicate with animals, so Oaks can do it. But first of all, animals are not very intelligent, and Oaks doesn't want to be a tamer, so he doesn't often take the initiative to communicate with animals. Secondly, can an element devourer be the same as an ordinary animal? He was simply frightened just now. But now that he had reacted, Oaks realized that the element devourer's habits were no different from those of an ordinary cat. Moreover, its IQ was much higher than that of an ordinary cat, so it was natural that it could communicate normally. Ahem. Hello, I'm Oaks. Why do you ask? Oaks ignored the cat slave whose eyes sparkled at seeing another orange cat, and carefully communicated with Goo. I look like the cats on this planet, but I'm different. You look different from them, too. Goo's voice sounded like a child, so cute. To a cat slave, the two orange cats were just meowing. He was still reflecting on himself, thinking that he was probably caught because he prevented them from meeting. Oh, being single for so long, this damn sour smell. Well, it's different. I'm a druid, a human who knows some special spells. I can turn into a cat or some other animals. Oaks briefly explained to Gugu what a druid was, and at the same time, he was ready to move. Don't get me wrong, it's not what you think. Gugu, why are you here? My master has left this planet for a long time. I'm just wandering around. Today is the first time I meet a different person. You're so interesting. Nian. Do you want to come to my house? You have nowhere to go anyway. Okay, I want to eat pure meat cat cans and freeze-dried food, not cat food, which is hard to digest. No problem. The stomach of the Yuanshe beast is a pocket universe, so it won't get fat no matter how much it eats. It seems that I have to work hard to make money. Well, wait for me. Gugu squatted down and watched Oaks disappear around the corner. Then a red-haired young man came out, picked it up, and walked to the young cat slave with an envious face. Hey, ma'am, sorry. It looks like my cat hooked you. Come with me. I have a medicine box at home. Ha! You can speak Chinese? The cat-loving young man was radiant. Great. I probably. Stop. Otherwise I'll call an ambulance to take you away. Since there was such a funny guy following him, he naturally had to walk back to the store. Fortunately, they were in Brooklyn, so it wasn't too far away. Oaks invited the cat slave Zhang Shuren to his home mainly because the wounds caused by the devouring beast could not be healed in the ordinary sense. A certain director of the bureau should have a deep understanding of this. Although it was caused by the cat slave's careless hands, since Gugu is now Oaks' cat, he thinks he should still be responsible. In particular, Oaks is one of the few people who can heal the wounds of the devouring beast. As for whether Gugu would be dissatisfied. Actually, this little cutie still has a good temper, but he can't stand some people's self-destruction. What's your name? In the slums full of dangers, Oaks switched back to English. If two young people with obvious Asian faces talked and laughed in Chinese without restraint, the probability of danger would increase accordingly. Don't disbelieve it. Many white people discriminate against Africans, but even more Africans discriminate against Asians, and they are even more unscrupulous. The people around the little rainforest only account for a small part, not even a block, and the area of the slums occupies half of Brooklyn. My name is Zhang Shuren, a graduate student at Columbia University. The bespectacled young man Zhang Shuren touched his still sore nose and burning face, and his mouth twitched. If you are not used to it or are not sure about it, you can call me by my English nickname Antonio. I am quite confident in my Chinese pronunciation, but other than in written form, you should call yourself Antonio Zhang. Oak shrugged. He was extremely sure and certain that if this young man insisted on using his real name in oral communication, he would experience embarrassing incidents such as the professor calling the wrong name, recognizing the wrong person, making mistakes in credits, and even not being able to receive express deliveries. Because he had seen this kind of thing too many times. Okay. Sir. Zhang Shuren. Antonio. Let's just call him Zhang. Jane's envious eyes frequently glanced at Gugu, who was squatting quietly on Oak's shoulder, but he didn't dare to lag behind. He understood the power of this neighborhood. What is this gentleman's name? Your Chinese is so good. Are you Chinese? Oaks Lin. You can also call me Lin Xingya. Oaks. Air conditioning. Oh, sorry. Oaks means oak tree. Oaks glanced at Zhang, whose face was a little red, and chuckled twice with a strange look on his face. I am half Chinese, and I am quite knowledgeable about Chinese. So don't think that I can't understand the gentleman's special sentence structure and some of the little jokes. Seeing Zhang scratching his head in dismay, Oaks asked again, "It seems that you are an international student who has just arrived here. Why did you come to this area? Even locals rarely come here unless it is necessary." Ignoring the fact that he, a local, appeared here, Oaks glanced at the corner in front of him and twitched his lips. "So you see, I'm shocked that you were able to get so far into the slums safely." I came here by taxi, and the driver drove like crazy. I almost vomited." Zhang looked up blankly. "I just said I wanted to find a place with cheaper rent, and he brought me here." Are they here to see you, Mr. Oaks?" Can anyone explain the malicious and fierce smiles of the black men walking slowly in front? Also, the folding knives in their hands are controlled knives in China, right? How much did you know about the security situation in New York before you went abroad? Well, it is said that New York has the highest comprehensive security level in the United States, but the forum said that you should try not to go out at night. It is relatively safe during the day. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Do you think it's safe now? Oaks touched his chin. This place is 2 blocks away from the rainforest. It seems to be a place where a small black gang is active. So he usually comes here secretly in cat form. Otherwise it would be too much effort to just clean up the scum. The important thing is to affect the mood. And if biological research can complement his abilities and make his own strength improve rapidly, then fighting crime is just a waste of his time. He is not interested in being a moral policeman. It would be more cost-effective to plant 2 more trees with that time. Mr. Oaks. Zhang was about to cry. He trembled and pulled Oaks's sweater. Do you have money? I have a credit card. Zhang tremblingly took out his Nokia, which was the throwing weapon that dealt him a fatal blow not long ago. Then, is it too late for us to run now? There are people behind us. Zhang turned his head with difficulty and wailed, Mr. Oaks, I just want to rent a house. Why don't you live in the school dormitory? You rented a house without any luggage. It seems that you must have applied for a dormitory. Zhang trembled even more violently, and tears flowed down his face uncontrollably. He was angry. I wanted to. But my roommate, who is as strong as a bear, is a fucking gay. Oaks grinned and sighed. America, the country of free personality. There was no way. It looked like this time it couldn't be settled peacefully. But since Zhang was here and I couldn't transform, I had to use a little magic. Meow Gugu, who was squatting on Oak's shoulder and was bored, became alert now. The devourer was very smart. It could understand the meaning of human language very accurately. And after communicating directly with Oaks, who had a wild heart, Gugu could easily sense his mentality. These guys are here to cause trouble. Yeah, they are the same color as the bald windbreaker man. Oaks was in a dilemma because the shit shoveler next to him was there and it was difficult for him to take action. Humans are much more complicated than cats. So, with the simple idea of relieving the worries of the new owner, Gugu opened his mouth. What bad intentions can a kitten have? It just wanted to help. Zhang felt that his worldview had been dealt a devastating blow. The ferocious tentacles that filled the entire screen captured all the thugs in front of him. Their fierce smiles were frozen on their shiny black faces. They didn't even have time to shout the slogan robbery before they said goodbye to this terrible world. Zhang turned his neck stiffly. Tears and snot all over his face. This time it was because of fear. Well, the friend in front of him had already walked, and the friend behind him had already fallen. The friends behind him howled and rolled and crawled away from his side. The whole process took no more than 5 seconds. So the hero who saved him was Meow. Gugu licked his paws and was washing his face. It meant it's nothing. No need to thank me. Zhang rolled his eyes and fell backwards. Oaks vaguely heard the sound he made when he fell down, but he could only barely make it out. after the founding of the country. It was clearly forbidden to become a spirit. Oh shit. Oaks covered his forehead with mixed feelings. Originally, Oaks' idea was to take Fang back to treat his wounds, and then help him find a house at most, which would be considered as helping this unfortunate child and 3/4 of his fellow villager. As for Gugu, if he kept him at home, he would not only be a powerful weapon to guard the house, but also cover up his orange cat form. Although he now had the strength to deal with most threats and could start the next step, the identity he had worked hard to build was still a little short. It was still a little short of exposing his abilities. He shouldn't have anything to do with ordinary people now, which was a big part of the reason why Oaks turned down the generous research conditions. But I never expected that Gugu would say this. Emerald Dream Green Plant Shop. The door was still closed, with a closed sign hung on it. Oaks had planned to relax and have a happy birthday today. He even planned to go to Chinatown on 8th Avenue to enjoy an authentic Chinese meal. But now he looked at John, who was still lying on the sofa, and was worried. What to do? I don't know how to modify my memory. What about silencing him? When Zhang Yu woke up, he saw Oaks staring at him blankly, with a fierce light in his eyes. Ah! Hero! Master! No, immortal, spare me! The overflowing desire to survive made Zhang's still confused mind sober up instantly. He fell off the sofa in a plump posture and almost fell to the ground. Without even daring to scream, Zhang immediately took the opportunity to prostrate himself on the ground. Immortal. Zhang Shuren is willing to obey the Immortal's command and will never reveal the existence of the Immortal. And the Immortal pet. If I break my oath, I will be struck by lightning. Oaks was completely stunned by Lan's behavior. After a long while, he pinched his brows with a helpless smile. Come on, you've read too many fairy tales. What with the Immortals and their pets? Get up, I'm not going to kill you. No, you definitely thought so. Zhang wailed in his heart. What Immortals? This is just a means of survival. They should be demons and their pets. Thank you for not killing me, Immortal. It's so dangerous abroad. But at least my life is saved. Zhang felt miserable. First he got beaten for watching the fun, and then he saw. Zhang stroked his chin and thought hard. It wasn't that hard to accept. What do you think? Oaks was a little surprised. This guy seemed to calm down immediately. Are young people nowadays so accepting of abnormal phenomena? Ah, Xian. You'd better call me Mr. Oaks. After all, I'm not like that cocky guy who needs others to emphasize his degree all the time. Oaks looked at Zhang with a confused expression, smiled slightly and stretched out his right hand. You are in my shop now, and this is also my home. Let me introduce myself again. I am Oaks Lin. My Chinese name is Lin Xingya, a doctor of biology from Cornell University, and the owner of this green plant shop Emerald Dream. Ah! Dear Lin! Zhang was stunned for a moment, and suddenly jumped up from the sofa. He had forgotten what happened just now, and was replaced by excitement and respect. He quickly held Oaks's right hand with both hands, and was so excited that he was a little incoherent. I should have recognized you earlier. You are the genius biologist who single-handedly raised Cornell University's Department of Biology to the top 3 in the United States 2 years ago. You are only 23 years old, only 3 years older than me. At the age of 23, I still don't know if I can successfully graduate with a master's degree. Am I that famous? Oaks scratched his head. He has been away from school for 2 years. How could an international student who is not from this school know him? You are Chinese, well, a 20-year-old international graduate student from Columbia University. You are not an ordinary student, and as an international student, your English is unexpectedly good. Shrugging, Oaks put his hand out of Jane's claws and coughed lightly. Well, just now, you saw something special. What do you think? Zhang shuddered, and his reverence for his predecessor was immediately broken by the cold reality that Darling in front of him was not just a doctor of biology. Wait, biology? I see. Zhang widened his eyes, a look of sudden enlightenment. That big orange, is it your work? Are you engaged in research on biological modification? Well, barely. I liked reading Shanghai Jin when I was a child. Oak's mouth corners raised slightly. This is the benefit brought by the identity. If the occult can cause unnecessary panic and speculation, then things in the scientific field are much easier to accept, especially when the other party is an intellectual. What a shocking achievement! Zhang was excited, Lin. Well, Mr. Oaks, I also like to read strange stories from a Chinese studio when I was a child, and I just remembered that there are many strange legends in my hometown. Strange legend? Oaks touched his chin. No wonder this guy was so receptive. But Liu Zai, are you serious? Yes, my hometown is Hunan, and my alma mater is Hunan University. I was sent by my alma mater to study for a master's degree at Columbia University. Zhang was a little proud when he said this. After all, it was not something that ordinary academic masters could do to be a government-sponsored student of this level. However, when he thought of the identity of the person in front of him, he coughed lightly and calmed down. My major is environmental science, but I also know a lot about veterinary medicine. Because I like cats and dogs very much, but I can't keep them when I'm in school, so. Zhang smiled embarrassedly and put on a mysterious expression. Mr. Oaks, in my hometown Hunan, there is a legend about an immortal alien. It is said that he created a powerful force that has been passed down for thousands of years, and many historical events are related to him. So as for the cat demon, the transformation of creatures is just a drizzle. Oaks didn't just listen to it as if it was a joke. Hunan, a powerful force that has been passed down for thousands of years, an immortal alien. Why does it feel so similar to a promotional video before he traveled through time? Well, at least now this troublesome guy will not have any psychological barriers. And this guy is not only a cat lover, but also likes dogs. But for safety reasons. Well, Long, is it okay for me to call you that? Oaks smiled when he saw Zhang nodding his head. Gugu, it's the big orange one. It's very important to my research. So I hope the news won't leak out from you before I announce it, huh? No problem. This is a matter of course. Zhang swore. Very good, then in this case, we are destined to be together. You don't have to go out and look for a house, just live here with me. Oaks pointed upstairs. There is an independent 2-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor. That's where I lived when I was a child. You can live there. Mr. Oaks, this is too much trouble for you. Zhang was about to decline, but he saw Gugu walking towards him. He quietly wiped the sweat off his face. So the rent. When you don't have classes, you can help me watch the store to pay the rent, and I'll provide meals. The salary won't be lower than if you worked part-time at school. Your student visa doesn't allow you to work outside the school, and no one will check you here. Deal! Zhang put a piece of ointment on his face, and the bruises near his nose were almost gone. Mr. Oaks, you are also proficient in pharmacy. Zhang looked at Oaks, who was sorting the medicine box, with admiration. He was not a dead newt who knew nothing but reading. He knew some common medicines. Your special medicine will definitely cause a sensation in the medical community. Well, it's biological research. In fact, my research on botany is a little deeper than that on zoology. Oaks put away the medicine box, turned around and glanced at the ointment on Lane's face. You can peel this off tomorrow morning. If you don't want to be reported in the popular news like a government-sponsored overseas student was scratched in the face to prove that he is not gay, I suggest you go back to school to move your luggage tomorrow. Zhang covered his chest tightly. Mr. Oaks, do Americans like to exaggerate so much? There will probably be 3 to 5 more versions. Even in college, teasing Asian students is one of their favorite pastimes. I was born with 2 feet. One foot doesn't want to go to school, and the other foot doesn't want to go to school either. Sorry Mr. Oaks, although my major is environmental science, Mr. Joe is my belief. Are you sure you're not blaspheming? After complaining harshly, Oaks walked to a closet, opened the door, and took out several small bottles filled with emerald green liquid, which was very beautiful. This is the medicine you just used to quickly heal wounds. It is the result of my exclusive research, but no one has tried it yet. You are the first. Seeing that Jen's face was turning green, Oaks laughed. I'm kidding, I'm the first test target. It's pure plant essence extraction, green, environmentally friendly and healthy. There's absolutely no problem. Jen's face returned to normal, and he curiously took the small bottle handed over by Oaks. Pure plant essence. This is Chinese medicine. Do you also understand Chinese medicine? It has some similarities with Chinese medicine, but it's still different. If you insist on describing it in a more mysterious way. It's alchemy. Oaks shrugged and sat down opposite Long. Gugu ran over and lay down in his arms, snoring. You should know that the alchemy in ancient legends, whether in the East or the West, is chemistry in the current scientific system, so this is an attempt in the field of biochemistry. You are a genius. Zhang admired him sincerely, and then suddenly realized, are you going to make this product public? A small-scale test. I posted a message on a small forum yesterday. It can be regarded as a small-scale test, so some people will come to buy it in the next few days. I will take you to familiarize yourself with the store in the next few days. I plan to go out on the 1st of next month for about a week. You can help me look after the store when you don't have classes. 3 to 5 hours a day will be enough. Shang Liangran nodded. He was not surprised why Oaks trusted him so much and handed over his store to a foreign student he just met today. Not to mention the big orange, just the recovery potion itself made him extremely curious. Besides, his major and Darlene's biological research scope overlapped a lot. Is there any better off-campus job than this? This is like having a mentor outside of school. Of course, the premise of all this is that you perform to the satisfaction of the other party. Now it seems that the beginning is still good. No problem, Mr. Oaks, don't worry. Zhang immediately patted his chest and guaranteed, I will treat the guests properly, and I am good at mathematics, so I won't make mistakes in the account. Oaks was powerless to complain, but the other party was obviously gradually letting go. This was a good thing. If he could maintain this mentality, he would get more. Oaks couldn't work alone forever, and this young man he met by coincidence might be worth training. The plan only needed to be slightly modified. Since you are from the Department of Environmental Science, you should know that a series of problems such as air, land and water pollution, desertification, soil erosion, etc., are no longer just a threat to human survival. Oaks placed the remaining small bottles on the table in front of him and looked at Zhang, who was listening attentively. Now they have become a disaster. Natural disasters caused by human activities, the backlash of nature. Zhang nodded seriously. Yes, Mr. Oaks. This is also the reason why I chose to study environmental science. The current environmental situation in our country is very serious. In the years of preparation for this year's Olympic Games, the country has deeply realized this problem. The Olympic Games are very successful, and after this, a surging wave of environmental protection will sweep the entire country. However, the huge gap in environmental protection knowledge and talent reserves is a problem we have to face up to. Indeed, New York also implemented the PNYC 2007 plan last year to improve the city's green environment, and the world is also rapidly awakening to environmental awareness. I have participated in the 1000 Plant Transcriptome Project 1KP, which started in November this year. Although the initiator of this project is a Canadian scientist, the gene sequencing is done by BGI in Shenzhen, China, and the data is also stored in the Shenzhen National Gene Bank Live Big Data platform. Next month, I will go to the South American rainforest for preliminary field research. Zhang Minxian had heard of this plan. It was a world-class great scientific plan that would benefit multiple disciplines. He looked at Oaks with even more respect. You actually chose to collect samples. Science comes from practice, so I will probably go out from time to time in the future, and as the plan progresses, I will also conduct my own research. From my professional perspective, plant improvement is the safest, most efficient, lowest cost and most economical way to solve the above environmental problems. So your research is oriented towards environmental protection. Zhang suddenly realized that, indeed, the root of all these environmental problems is the encroachment of human activities on vegetation. If the vegetation problem is solved, most of the environmental problems can be solved. That's right. I said that my research on botany is a little deeper than that on zoology. With a mysterious smile, Oaks gently put the sleeping Gugu aside. The latter yawned and continued to sleep. The green plants in my store are not ordinary varieties. Do you want to see them? My pleasure. While Zhang was excited, he finally realized something he had been ignoring. I used to have a little rhinitis, but now I don't feel it at all. Is there an air purifier in the store? But the window is open. There is no such thing. Oaks stood up and thought about it, then smiled and said, if there is, it's not impossible. But it's purely natural and doesn't consume electricity. Taking Zhang from the lounge to the front counter, Oaks showed him his products. The air in New York is not only not sweet, but also very polluted. But the air in my store is as good as the Alps. Oaks looked strange. In a few years, air of this quality will cost more than 100 per liter. Zhang didn't understand what the so-called air costs more than 100 per liter meant, but now he found that the air in the store was indeed very fresh. It was very comfortable to breathe. This is the credit of these green plants. Zhang opened his mouth in disbelief. Green plants do have the effect of improving air quality, but this efficiency is too exaggerated. The windows of the shop were open, which means that in a non-enclosed environment, the air purification effect of these green plants is comparable to that of air purifiers. The most important thing is that he didn't feel any wind at all. If green plants have this efficiency, wouldn't the air purifier manufacturers that have been hyped recently declare bankruptcy? This is a special variety I developed. It is still in the trial stage and the production is limited, so it is only placed in the store as a potted plant for sale. AUX pointed to the rows of seemingly ordinary plant species on the shelf. Although they look no different from common indoor green plants, their air purification efficiency is dozens of times higher. Not only the absorption of particulate pollutants such as PM2.5, but also the formaldehyde purification and oxygen regeneration efficiency are the same. So, although I'm just a small green plant shop, I've been well known in some small circles for more than a year. Zhang was already trembling. The customers who came to buy potted plants had no idea what kind of great scientific research results they were buying. Ah, it's getting late. Touching his stomach, Oaks realized that it was already 5 o'clock, and this happened, and he hadn't eaten lunch yet. Besides, Gugu is moving in today, so we need to buy canned and freeze-dried food. As for Cat later, Are you insulting the intelligence of the devourer? Let's go to 8th Avenue, which is the nearest Chinatown. It's my birthday today, so I'll treat you to Chinese food. Your birthday? Today? Why? Nothing. Zhang swallowed his saliva. September 22nd is the last day of Virgo. It is said that children born on this day will have particularly severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. A week later, Lan's study abroad life opened a new chapter. Meeting Dr. Lin is the greatest luck of my study abroad life. Dr. Lin is a true genius, not only has strong scientific research capabilities, but also has a humorous and approachable personality. Okay, he is also much more handsome than me. Zhang left a photo with Oaks on his social media account, and as expected, he received a lot of likes and comments from his parents, relatives, seniors, juniors, and even professors. It was a bad start for the day, full of envy and jealousy. Zhang, I'm going out now. I'll leave the store to you. Oak's voice came from downstairs, and Zhang quickly closed his laptop. He bought it at a discount through an educational channel. As a scientist, Oak's personal computer was obviously not something Zhang could use casually. The laptop can be used for both the store and school. The configuration, appearance and price of this one are very suitable. The new laptop and mobile phone took Zhang 2 months' salary in advance. When Zhang learned that he could get an advance on his salary, he smiled like a fool, and was so happy that he was bubbling. Don't worry, Mr. Oaks. Zhang went downstairs with the laptop. Oaks was dressed in a casual sweater and was saying goodbye to Gugu. Mr. Oaks, aren't you bringing any gifts? It's just preliminary preparations. I've already sent the necessary instruments, tools and supplies by express delivery in advance. Oaks raised his sunglasses, whispered something to Gugu, straightened up and nodded. Then see you in a week. Yes, Mr. Oaks, I wish you a safe journey. Zhang picked up Gugino. He was no longer afraid of Gugu, and had become his exclusive poop scooper. But Gugu's high IQ made it more skilled than Zhang in using the toilet, making Lan's title of poop scooper somewhat unworthy of its status. Oaks waved his hand, opened the door and walked out, looking left and right, then walked towards a small alley with few people. A moment later, a small bird soared into the sky. The spine-tailed swift is the fastest bird on Earth. This is the flying form that Oaks chose. The average flying speed is 170 km per hour, and the fastest speed can reach 352 km, which is almost the speed of an arrow. And with such a small size, even the most sophisticated military radar cannot detect it. If it was just a spike-tailed swift, its speed would naturally be limited to the upper limit of what the animal could achieve. But Oaks' spike-tailed swift form was obviously not that simple. A hazy emerald light enveloped the little bird, and Oaks' speed suddenly increased as his wings flapped. A small sonic boom sounded, and the next moment, Oaks' flying speed had exceeded the speed of sound. However, in this state, his defense is very weak. If he hits something, it will be a disaster. This is the unscientific side of magic. Oaks was instantly above the sea, destination, Amazon rainforest. As a druid, it can be said that there is no place on Earth that Oaks can yearn for more than the Amazon rainforest. Although the depths of the Amazon rainforest are extremely dangerous and restricted areas for humans, for Oaks, who has a wild heart and is close to nature, it can be regarded as his home ground. In the past few years, when the flying speed could not reach supersonic speed, Oaks had come here several times, and some of the special tropical plants in the store were also brought back from here. As the world's largest tropical rainforest known as the lungs of the Earth, the Amazon rainforest plays an important role in the Earth's ecosystem. And if it is used as a training place for druids, it is undoubtedly the most suitable place on Earth. The rainforest is full of dangers, with strange plants, ferocious beasts, weird insects and countless threats of all kinds, which will make it impossible for the most elite modern expedition team to guarantee the safety of exploration. Therefore, if he did some loud magic experiments here, he would not have to worry about being discovered. He landed from a high altitude and fell into a box. No, he transformed into a cheetah. Although he was not as suitable for the rainforest environment as a jaguar, it was not a big deal. He toured the vast rainforest along the Amazon River, sensing the endless natural atmosphere with natural magic. In the next few days, Oaks will continue to deepen his connection with this vast rainforest and further enhance his natural magic skills. In this rainforest, Oaks will receive a powerful natural bonus, which is also an extremely important factor in Oaks's plan to engage in environmental protection. The more complete the ecosystem, the stronger Oaks will be. Riding on the world's willingness to protect the environment, when Oaks's natural magic attainments can call upon the power of the Earth's ecosystem, he will have the capital to leap forward to become a cosmic-level powerhouse. Oak's thoughts were suddenly interrupted, and he paused. The cheetah form has a special perception ability detecting humanoid creatures. The saying "the forest is my domain" is not an exaggeration for a druid. Now, in Oaks's perception, which has been enhanced hundreds of times, there is a human in the distance. So deep, how could it be? This place is already very deep in the rainforest. Who is so bold, and who comes alone? Swoosh! The figure disappeared, and Oaks started stealth, slowly approaching the target. Damn! Appearing in this place again. This was a white man with messy curly hair, shirtless, wearing a pair of baggy and torn pants, and no shoes. If this miserable appearance appeared in the slums of this country, it would be understandable. But this is the forbidden place for humans deep in the Amazon rainforest. An ordinary man who is relatively strong but obviously bookish is simply tired of living here. First, we need to find a water source. The man took a deep breath. Although his expression was decadent, he was not very anxious. It seemed that this was not the first time he encountered such a situation. He exhaled slowly, carefully distinguishing the sound of flowing water. Although the Amazon River was lurking with terrifying piranhas, caimans, and anacondas, he didn't seem to be worried. His unshaven face, after the decadence, was replaced by a bland and somewhat indifferent expression. He didn't care whether he could get out of the rainforest alive. No, it didn't mean that he was determined to die. Rather, the dangers of the rainforest were not worth mentioning in his eyes. Strong self-confidence and great frustration seemed to be intertwined in his staggering back. Wrestle! Bruce Banner stopped. He was holding up his pants with one hand and holding a thick branch for exploration in the other. Hearing this sound, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. It's so fast this time. We're obviously not far from the river. The thick old tree in front of Banner dropped dense vines, and the thickest ones were slowly swimming towards here. It was a giant anaconda thicker than his thigh. This place was very close to the river bank, and this kind of environment was exactly what the anaconda, known as the king of the swamp, liked. But it was the first time for Banner to encounter such a thick one. Roar! Banner frowned as he heard a low roar. There was an anaconda in front of him, and a jaguar appeared behind him. The two top food chains in the Amazon rainforest met at once. This time, there might be another big fight. Boom, boom, boom. His heartbeat was gradually getting faster and faster. Banner clutched his chest tightly and took a deep breath. No, wait any longer. We must go to the river and then we can find human settlements along the river. This was not the first time Banner had encountered such a situation. He pursed his lips and was about to ignore the threat behind him and continue to move towards the river, but he obviously underestimated how delicious he was. The jaguar seemed to be irritated by his disregard. If the guy in front of him, who seemed to have no effort to tear the fur, was beaten by the stink bug, wouldn't it be bad? So it launched an attack decisively. The next moment, with a deafening roar, the king of the Amazon rainforest, the jaguar, a predator at the top of the food chain, flew backwards like a rag doll. Before it could even scream, the poor creature was hit in the chest by a thick green fist, breaking all its ribs. So it spurted blood and fainted. Ah! Hulk punched the jaguar and sent it flying, then grabbed the anaconda that was trying to escape in a hurry. Hiss-ha! The anaconda howled in pain. When had it ever seen such a bipedal animal that used it, the king of the rainforest, as a whip? Bam! Hulk used the anaconda whip to frantically whip the vines and tree trunks in front of him. The 6-meter-long snake's spine was broken apart by the terrifying force. But suddenly, the Hulk stopped swinging the whip frantically. He threw the dying anaconda aside like trash, and turned to look vigilantly at an open space next to a bush. There was nothing there, but Hulk's wild instinct told him that there was something there. And it could pose a threat to him. After a few seconds, Hulk got impatient. He took a step forward and clapped his hands hard. Boom! The violent wind pressure plowed the open space fiercely, and the invisible thing finally revealed its true appearance. Shit! This trick is too rogue. Oaks was almost blown away by Hulk's slap of wind pressure, but it was a few entangled roots that entangled his limbs and fixed him in place. But stealth was impossible, as they had already entered the battle. Seeing another leopard, Hulk snorted coldly and punched it. Maybe Banner would wonder why there are cheetahs in the rainforest when they should live in the grassland, but Hulk doesn't care about that. But the next moment, his green eyes widened. Bam! A huge bear paw collided with his fist fiercely, and the wind pressure aroused directly cleared a piece of open space. Strong enough. An eager look flashed in his eyes. Oaks had been dormant for these years, and he also wanted to see how strong he could be in the Amazon rainforest, which was his home. And the legend of strength in front of him, the Hulk, was the best touchstone. Oak's bear form was the largest bear on Earth, the Kodiak brown bear. However, unlike the real Kodiak brown bear, which can only reach a maximum length of more than 3 meters and weigh 1 ton, Oaks, who is blessed with the power of nature, can reach an astonishing 4 meters in bear form and weigh 2 tons. In this state, Oaks and Hulk are simply the same model. The same super defense, the same super strength, the same wild instinct, the same growth potential. The more he gets beaten, the angrier he gets. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So, the two behemoths started a primitive and wild contest of strength in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. Hulk's fists are as powerful as cannonballs, and he often uses tree trunks and rocks as weapons. Although Oak's bear form cannot use weapons, his claws strengthened by the power of nature are the strongest weapons. With the natural power, his fur is as hard as steel, which makes Hulk feel like he is hitting a nail board. Hulk can quickly escape and enter the battlefield with his strong jumping ability, and Oaks can also charge at any time to interrupt Hulk's powerful move. In terms of attack power, Oaks is obviously inferior to Hulk, but in terms of defense and dodging, he is better. With the application of natural magic, various vines can entangle, stun, strengthen defense for a short time, shake the opponent's spirit and weaken the opponent's attack power with special roars. The green humanoid beast and the brown beast-like human are pouring their fiery anger on each other. Hulk's physical strength is unlimited, and Oaks can also use anger to restore physical strength. This battle is hearty. Day passed, night fell, and the morning sun rose again. In a blink of an eye, this wild and unparalleled battle lasted for nearly a day and a night. The rainforest within a radius of 1 kilometer was completely destroyed. Looking down from the sky, you can see that the place where they fought was almost like it was plowed by the artillery fire of the main battle tank. Without the cover of the rainforest, the light of the morning sun awakened the two monsters with almost infinite physical strength and endurance. They had already fought to the point of forgetting everything else. Since ancient times, the kings of the rainforest, the dominant predators at the top of the food chain, have long since fled. For many years to come, this forest will become their lingering shadow. Two figures full of wild power bathed in the morning sun, facing each other quietly. For a moment, the air seemed to be about to solidify.